You know, a recipe is so much more than just grams and ounces and cups. Recipes are a way to tell a story.
Did you ever dream that you would create your own cookbook?
I never dreamed that I would create my own cookbook. I didn't know that that was possible. I didn't know that was part of my journey. It wasn't planned. A lot of what has happened with Bigger Bolder Baking has been a wonderful surprise. Hi, I'm Gemma Stafford, originally from Ireland. I live in the United States in Santa Monica, California. I live here with my husband Kevin and my dog Waffles. Growing up in Ireland was really, I think I was very lucky to grow up in Ireland. I was really fortunate to spend my childhood there. It's a really special place. A lot of people think that Ireland is a little bit behind the times, but there's something kind of nice about it. It is at a slower pace. It is an island. Food played a big role in my family because there were so many of us. Altogether, there was 5 kids and my mom and my dad. Everybody always says that their mom is the best cook, but like my mom is the best cook. My mom never worked in food professionally, but I suppose it doesn't get a little bit more professional full-time job than feeding a family of 7. And she put so much effort into making all of our meals. But saying that, she put a lot of effort in, but she made it look really easy. And she did it in no time at all. And just, it seemed like no hassle to her. And it was just, that was kind of my perception of cooking. Some people think it's really hard. And I was taught by watching my mom that it's something really easy and you can do it like fast and you can produce like wonderful meals. So my mom was a great cook, but my dad actually worked as a wine merchant and as a rep for Heineken in Ireland. So food and drink were something that were always around in our house and enjoyed, and we had family and friends over. One of my earliest memories of baking in Ireland was being in the kitchen with my mom and making an apple crumble, which is a very traditional Irish dish. You can make it all by hand, so it was like really easy to show us, like the kids, how to make it. And then she would get us to rub in the butter into the flour and the little bit of sugar. All the signs were kind of pointing me to be a chef, because on my weekends, since I was very young, like 6, 7, I would bake on the weekends, I'd bake in the evenings, I would make cookies and buns. The only thing I would read were cookbooks and food magazines. It was just obviously a path that I was destined for. When I went to college, it was pretty easy. I was going to go to work in hospitality or tourism, or train to be a professional chef. My mom, I remember still to this day, because I suppose I was probably around like 17 or so, my mom said to me, "Gemma, don't be a chef because they work very long hours and they make very little money." So I went to college to be a chef, and years later I worked very long hours and made very little money. I went to this really famous culinary school in Ireland called Cathal Brugha Street. And then after Cathal Brugha Street, I went to Ballymaloe Cookery School, which is a famous cooking school in Ireland, in Cork, run by a woman called Dorina Allen, and it's been around since the 70s. It's been around a very long time. People from all over the world go to Ballymaloe Cooking School, and I was really fortunate to be one of them. It was the beginning, and it opened up a whole world for me, where I traveled to Australia, I traveled to Italy, I worked as a private chef, I worked in a ski resort. So I first came to the United States in 2008. I was 25 years of age. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. I was in South Lake Tahoe working as an apprentice baker. I don't think I knew it at the time, but I was, working towards my American dream. I don't think even I knew about it. San Francisco was kind of a crazy ride. I didn't know anybody in San Francisco. I didn't know a sinner. I worked for over a year at a Michelin star restaurant where I was their morning baker. So I would go in at like 5:30 in the morning and I would make beignets and get doughs made and spin ice cream and just do a lot of stuff before the kitchen got too warm. I always knew that I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life working as a traditional chef in a traditional kitchen. So I moved on from that restaurant and I started my own catering business, catering for tech companies, catering breakfast. Working catering, as you can imagine, there's no kitchens in offices. I was in people's offices cooking on hot plates, using microwaves, using toaster ovens. So this is the business card, the very professional business card that I created online for my catering business in San Francisco. It was called Rise and Dine, and she's a little chef with a wooden spoon and bowl, which is kind of ironic because that's the first chapter in my book, wooden spoon and bowl. I didn't realize that until now. I would just go above and beyond because I had half an hour to impress these guys every morning. They got breakfast catered every morning. It really was where I realized it was like, hey, you don't do things by halves, Gemma. I start with a thread of an idea and I see where I can go with it and what I can create. And that's really where Bigger, Bolder Baking, even though I didn't know it at the time, started to form and to take shape. Kevin, my husband, and I had just gotten married. Kevin had a background in entertainment and wanted to still work in entertainment, but wanted to move on a little bit. So we decided that we would join forces, that we would take the two things that we were both very good at and passionate about and see what we could come up with. Hi everybody, I'm Gemma Stafford, and this week I'm going to share with you my recipe for cinnamon roll pancakes. I'd never hosted a cooking show. I was actually a little bit camera shy. I wasn't really somebody who welcomed a lot of eyes on me. So I didn't really know how I was going to do that, but I do know that I adore food. I love to tell people about food. I love to tell people how to do it right. And if I could just get those messages across, I could get through this no problem. We just decided early on, listen, we've taken this leap, we've quit our jobs, we have packed up everything, we've moved to a different city where we don't know anybody. We're going to put everything we've got into this and make it work. Bigger Bolder Baking was born. Hi Bold Bakers, hi Bold Bakers, hi Bold Bakers. This is called Bigger Bolder Baking. The reason I waited until now to write a cookbook was because I spent the last 4+ years building a business from scratch. 5 years is a really good time to bring out a cookbook because I've learned a lot, I've shared a lot, and I think that I give enough value and I have enough knowledge to share with people that will be like of good value to them in one cookbook. You know, I didn't figure out exactly what the book was going to be until I started writing the proposal. You write about your background, about where you came from, about what you learned. And when I got to the end of my story, it hit me. Your story is about baking, no matter what kind of kitchen you have, no matter what kind of tools you have. The journey of writing a cookbook you think is pretty straightforward. Like you decide the recipes you want to do, you test them, and then you write them down, which is kind of the case, but not at all. So I'm testing recipes for the book. As you can see, I've got all of my notes up here. The green are the recipes that I've done, and everything else is what I haven't done and I still have yet to do. You have to really prune and pick like really wonderful recipes because you want somebody to buy this book, you want it to be like of value to them. These aren't random recipes that I plucked from the sky. These are recipes that I've been making for years. Flapjacks that I used to make in Australia, cookies that I used to make when I worked at a law firm in Dublin. So these are my notebooks that I have carried with me from all around the world. So the book was really inspired by these notebooks. I saw that I had this collection, I wanted to do something with it, and I wanted to catalogue it and keep it all in one place. In these notebooks, I jotted down the recipes that I tested in kitchens. There's one here for chocolate fondant that I did in Dublin a very, very long time ago as a young pastry chef. The funny thing about chefs who write in these notebooks is that their writing is usually terrible and nobody else can read it. So the notebook is actually pretty much only useful to you and nobody else. This is from Tuscany. This notebook is from Tuscany. I bought this while I was there. And I wrote down what we made for lunch, for dinner, for dessert. I just saw the date here, 28th of the 7th, 2005. That was 14 years ago. Oh my gosh. I had to go back and retest them because, to be honest with you, I don't even remember writing half of this, and some of it didn't sound like it made sense. Here's one for banana pudding, which I have in the cookbook, steamed banana pudding. It's absolutely delicious, and we used to make this in Menard, it's a spa I worked at in Ireland. Same here, Linzer Tort. We used to serve this for afternoon tea. So this is a recipe kind of records book, and I just realized on the inside I have when you're a kid, you write your name and address on everything. So I have my name, my address, my phone number, and then also the fact that it was 98. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. You know, a recipe is so much more than just grams and ounces and cups. Recipes are a way to tell a story. And luckily, with a book, you have the time and the space to tell those lovely stories. Coming up in the next episode, I have a bake sale in 3 days to sell all of the products for the cookbook, and nobody actually knows it's from the cookbook. People just think I'm recipe testing, which is kind of exciting because I get to see what they think. Recipe testing was probably the longest and the biggest part of the book. There's 115 recipes in the book, which is a lot, but to do that amount of recipes takes a very long time.